night, good night, good night. This is the cutting edge. And next Wednesday night, warm and cool at the same time, I tell you. Don't stop falling every day. I have to tell you that, but that's true. Every day rainfall. And woman and man, all do. Things are go fast, don't it? Yeah, man. When they come back quick, and you have to get some money quick to do certain things that you never do. From the other day, I didn't want to do it quick. Yeah, man. Time now, wait. Yes, so we're there with you. So, you know, from last year, early last year, we are talking about this revolution we are going on in Africa there. Mali, Niger, Senegal involved now. And now we have this youth will come up now, will become like the vanguard, the epitome of what a revolution supposed to take place in Africa, supposed to be. Now, even though this youth will take over the country with a coup, and we know, say, Africa not really used to democracy. They're not used to that. For you know, upright, them just decide, so them all just go in there and move you. Them not wait for no election. Well, this youth take over the country with a coup. Well, it seems as if he might do something where a whole heap of one who come with them coup never do. And that is to transform Burkina Faso into a real place. And when I say a real place, I mean a real place. To the point now where him run out the French, just like how the Mali people them and the Niger people them, they run out the French them. And now it started to spread all over Africa because the new president of Namibia, which is a woman, I say American must get visa for coming to our country because when she want to go somewhere, we have to get visa for going up for them country. And it started to spread. This youth here, Ibrahim Traoré, him make a move where most Africans never make. And that is to nationalize the gold and all of the mineral resources in our country to help the country itself. And since him come in, it's about 19 times them try to kill him. You hear me say? Them try to kill him about 19 times now. Coup on top of even the whole, the last one I hear about is the one where them say some Cote d'Ivoire man involved with it. You know, that is the Ivory Coast. Them say him involved in it, and then them send man. The French, them send spy in our country, and I don't know how him find out about them, but it seems to be a mafia dab, bob and weave, and I move left and right, so as not to make these people do them like what them do. Gaddafi and others like him, Lumumba, them kill off a whole heap of the progressive leaders in Africa. And then now we have to really just sing them praises. Well, he has done a lot already. Yeah, him is the youngest president in Africa. And he has done so much that I did them have a rally against France and America. So they must leave Traore alone. And I tell you, if you were in France, thousands of people are rallying against the French government. So they must leave him, make him do what he must do. Because Africa really needs a transformation, especially in this time. Yeah. So you know, after the next break, we have to play a clip about how them try to get rid of him. How them try to get rid of him and him overcome that. How them send spy and all sort of people to kill him and get rid of him, but him overcome it. So Yes, so we are telling about Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Burkina Faso, who is creating waves, not only in Africa, but all over the place. Because him come totally different. And for the short space of time when him did there, you know, it's one of the only countries right now we don't own no debt. Yeah, man, him use the gold in him country and pay off all him debt them and realize the French, where they did there, where they dig out the gold and the other mineral them, where them get out tight and where the French them get out tight is unbelievable. And him decide, say, no, it can't work that way there. Oh, no, forget, like, them I get must about 80%, and the country I get 20%. Him say, none of that. So them try all the while to have a coup against him. I think them say it's about 19 to 20 times since him did there. Them try coup him, but it never work. So we want to play this clip here. I tell about the coup where them try against him. I mean, I thought a long time neither, you know, I thought I would just tell her there.
In the dead silence of April 16th, 2025, a storm was supposed to strike, not of nature, but of men. A coup d'etat planned in whispers, fueled by vengeance, desperation, and foreign gold. Its target? The military leader who defied the world order, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. For months, they plotted in the dark. The plan was clear: overthrow Traoré, seize Kossiam Palace, silence the revolution, and restore a system long buried. But at the heart of this story lies betrayal. Names that once swore loyalty to the flag are now stained by betrayal. This is the true story of 4 men, not just soldiers, but symbols of betrayal. Men who once swore to defend their nation, now accused of nearly breaking it. Major Corey, Lieutenant Abdou Bari, Colonel Diallo Kader, and Captain René Ouedraogo. They were the architects of a secret war. But let us unfold how a band of conspirators schemed in the shadows, how loyalists uncovered their plan, and how a coming coup fell apart before it could drag the country into violence. Welcome to the world of research. Welcome to the large family of WIN, Wisdom in Narrations. It began months earlier, in hushed meetings and covert exchanges far from prying eyes. Major Corey, a disillusioned senior officer, emerged as the mastermind of the plot. He quietly reached out to like-minded soldiers and exiles, convinced that Captain Ibrahim Traoré's junta had betrayed the country's interests. By early 2025, Corey had recruited a small circle of co-conspirators, each with a specific job in the secret plan. Lieutenant Abdou Bari, exiled across the border, Bari became the plot's spokesman-in-waiting. Known for his powerful speeches, he recorded speeches and rallying cries on video and audio, intended to be broadcast to the nation at the moment of the coup. His messages, dripping with revolutionary zeal, promised to restore dignity and order after removing Traoré from power. Some of these recordings were covertly circulated on the dark web and encrypted messaging apps, hinting at a coming upheaval without revealing details. Captain René Ouedraogo, Logistics Chief. An active duty officer, Captain Ouedraogo handled the tough, hands-on work. He secretly moved weapons, ammunition, and vehicles to hidden houses on the outskirts of Ouagadougou, the capital. Late at night, in secret warehouses, he gathered and stored assault rifles and uniforms for the soldiers who would join the coup. Investigators later identified Ouedraogo as a central figure who brought others into the plan. Colonel Diallo Kader, propaganda architect. A retired military information officer, Colonel Kader lent his expertise in psychological operations. He crafted a sophisticated propaganda campaign to legitimize the coup. Polished videos were produced showing armed men declaring the liberation of Burkina Faso and denouncing Traoré's government as puppets of foreign powers. In early April, one such video went viral on social media, a masked officer calling on citizens to reclaim our nation on April 16th. It was quickly taken down by authorities, but not before it sowed confusion and got thousands of views. Cater's aim was clear: to erode public confidence in the junta and prime the population to welcome the coup as a rescue mission. Major Corey, lead planner and liaison. At the helm, Corey coordinated all these moving parts. He communicated with Lieutenant Barry over encrypted channels on the dark web, ensuring the exiled voice stayed in sync with the on-ground reality. He checked which units might be friendly to their cause and planned the attack on the presidential palace. But even more dangerously, Corey reached out to Burkina Faso's worst enemies, the jihadist militants causing chaos in the north. Through secret contacts, he made a risky deal. The extremists would step up their attacks in the countryside as a distraction on the day of the coup, in exchange for future forgiveness or other promised rewards. The plan was to attack the capital at the same time as major terrorist strikes elsewhere. By tying their coup to the jihadists' atrocities, the plotters intended to sow total chaos and overwhelm the government on multiple fronts. These four men and their followers formed a secret group driven by ambition and anger. They saw themselves as the country's saviors, or so they said, but in reality, their plan was a betrayal of the very army and people they claimed to serve. As they refined their plans, they used burner phones, coded language, and face-to-face strategy sessions in safe houses to avoid detection. Encrypted messages flew between the conspirators in early April, laying out final tactics and rendezvous points. The date for their power grab was fixed, April 16th, 2025. They called it Operation Dawn in their secret communications, a promise that by dawn of that Wednesday, a new regime would be in charge. Without the conspirators knowing, the government's intelligence services had been watching, quietly and carefully, for weeks. Unit 9, a top intelligence team, became suspicious after noticing more talk on hidden online sites used by extremist supporters. In late March, as Unit 9 analysts went through digital whispers on the dark web, one username caught their eye: Corey Burke, 1984. Posing as militants, the agents engaged this user in an encrypted chat room. What they discovered set off alarm bells. Vague references to a big event in April and mention of friends in the south, possibly code for allies in Côte d'Ivoire, supplying resources. The breakthrough came in early April, when Burkinabe's security forces intercepted communications between a high-ranking military officer and terrorist leaders. In that intercepted exchange, a series of encoded satellite phone calls, an army officer was heard giving jihadist fighters detailed information about the deployment of Burkina Faso's troops. He spoke of garrison locations and patrol routes, effectively handing the insurgents a map to exploit weaknesses. This betrayal was intended to escalate terrorist attacks against security forces and civilians to create havoc and stir up a revolt against the authorities. Immediately, officials realized these weren't random leaks. They were part of a coordinated plot. Investigators traced the leak to Major Corey. Now the puzzle pieces began to fall into place. If Corey was sharing troop positions with jihadists, he must be planning something coordinated. Intelligence officers also recalled an alarming incident. A few weeks prior, an anonymous video had spread online calling for soldiers to rise on April 16th. That propaganda clearly showed Colonel Diallo Kader's style. Could it be that disparate signs, the video, the leaked information, and the rumors of soldiers talking about rebelling in the barracks were all connected? By April 10th, Unit 9 was convinced a coup was about to happen. The government of Captain Ibrahim Traoré moved with urgent secrecy. Traoré, only 34 and himself risen to power via a coup in 2022, had been through multiple scares of destabilization. He called a midnight meeting with his top security advisors at the presidential lodge. There, the head of Unit 9 laid out the evidence: intercepts, informant tips, and surveillance reports mapping out the conspirators' network. On a board, they marked the key names: Major Corey, Colonel Kada, Captain Ouedraogo, and a mysterious Lieutenant Barry believed to be operating from abroad. Traore's face grew stony. To think that current and former soldiers under his command were working with terrorists to bring down the government was a clear reminder of how broken loyalties had become. The president gave a single directive: stop the plot at all costs before April 16th. Unit 9 and special military units dubbed Groupe d'Intervention mobilized a plan of their own, an early move to shut down the coup before it started. They codenamed it Operation Nightfall. Its execution date, April 15th, 2025, the eve of the planned uprising. As dusk fell on April 15th, most of Ouagadougou was unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. But in government safe houses and barracks, loyal soldiers put on tactical gear and checked their weapons. In complete secrecy, several teams spread out across the city, working together to arrest the plotters all at once. Shortly after 11 p.m., the first strike came. A convoy of plain military trucks surrounded an ordinary-looking warehouse on the eastern edge of the capital. This was one of Captain Ouedraogo's arms depots, identified through days of surveillance. When the security forces broke through the metal doors, they found a pile of evidence: crates of AK-47 rifles, grenades, radios, and stacks of camouflage fatigues with no unit insignias, the tools of a planned assault. Gathered around maps and satellite photos in a corner were 3 junior officers loyal to the plot, shocked by the sudden raid. They surrendered without a fight. More importantly, among the papers seized was a hand-drawn plan of the presidential palace and a timetable, proof that the conspirators aimed to swarm the presidency in the early hours of April 16th. Meanwhile, another team moved in on a private villa in the Ouaga 2000 district, an upscale neighborhood. Here, Colonel Diallo Kader was caught off guard, reportedly in the middle of uploading one of his pre-recorded coup proclamations to a burner phone. Kader's arrest was quick. Commandos held down the 62-year-old colonel as he shouted that he was saving the country. Seized alongside him were laptops filled with coup manifestos and propaganda videos, including the originals of those that had been leaked online. Across town, Major Corey met a harsher fate. Acting on a tip, an assault team intercepted Corey's convoy as he attempted to flee an unsafe safe house. Cornered on a dimly lit street, Corey's guards exchanged fire with loyalist forces. In the brief firefight, Corey was wounded and one of his men killed. Within minutes, the mastermind of the coup was in custody, injured but alive and still refusing to back down. Major Corey's capture decapitated the plot's leadership, effectively foiling the coup's brain trust just hours before 0 hour. One key target, however, slipped away. Captain René Ouedraogo, the logistics chief, had been expected at the warehouse meeting, but he sensed trouble when communications went dark. Instead of rushing in, he melted into the night before Unit 9 could close the net. By the time soldiers reached Ouedraogo's residence, he was gone. In the chaos of the crackdown, Ouedraogo managed to flee, turning him into the most wanted man in Burkina Faso. As of the latest reports, he is currently on the run, according to Minister Sana. Back at the presidential compound, Captain Traoré monitored the operations in real time via radio. When the all-clear finally sounded in the pre-dawn hours of April 16th, it was official. The coup had been stopped before it even started. Dozens of plotters and their accomplices were arrested in the sweep, including active duty officers and some retired soldiers. Shockingly, several well-known officers were among those detained, such as Commander Frederic Ouedraogo, a former battalion commander, and Captain Élisée Tassembedo, head of a northern security unit, both picked up for questioning in the preceding days. The breadth of the conspiracy was coming into focus, and it was larger than initially thought. Dawn on April 16, 2025, arrived in Ouagadougou with quiet, normal life. The sun rose over calm streets, small motorbikes buzzed by, and markets opened like any other day. Most Burkinabe had no idea that if a plan hadn't been stopped, this morning could have exploded into gunfire. The coup that wasn't left few visible marks. No tanks, no sirens, no gunshots. But subtle signs were there. Extra guards at the palace. A heavier military presence at key sites. Curious citizens whispered, but the government stayed silent, preferring calm until all threats were neutralized. For the conspirators, this morning was meant to be their triumph, an assault on the presidency, the arrest of Traore, and a new regime announced before sunrise. Simultaneous terrorist strikes were to spread confusion across the country. Instead, Major Corey sat in custody. Colonel Kader was arrested. Lieutenant Barry was stranded in exile. Captain Ouedraogo had vanished. Their plan had collapsed. That evening, President Traore appeared on national television. Dressed in fatigues, serious face, he confirmed what many had begun to suspect. A coup attempt had been dismantled. "You slept in peace last night," he said, "under the shadow of a grave threat. Thanks to the vigilance of our security forces, our nation stands strong." Without naming names, he condemned those in league with foreign collaborators who had tried to seize power. "We will hunt down every last traitor," he vowed. "We will be merciless in our defense of the nation." He warned that the enemies of Burkina Faso, though stateless, remained active, a pointed message to those suspected of backing the coup from abroad. Traore closed with a call for unity, urging Burkinabe to stay focused on the fight against jihadist insurgents. The camera lingered on him as he saluted, then the screen faded to black. In homes and barracks across the country, people absorbed the shock. Relief that the coup had failed. Anger that some among them had plotted with extremists. Traore's calm, firm leadership earned praise. But questions still hung in the air. Who else was involved? How deep did the betrayal go? And was the danger truly over? In the days after the April 16th coup attempt, Burkina Faso's military government methodically disclosed how far the conspiracy reached. On April 21st, Security Minister Mahamadou Sana held a nationally televised press briefing that wove together statements, intelligence leaks, and official findings into a single, detailed account. He began by declaring that authorities had dismantled a major plot designed to overthrow the presidency and sow total chaos across the country. Sana explained that the coup was to unfold in two synchronized strikes. First, dissident soldiers, recruited and guided by both serving and former officers, would storm the presidential palace. Second, at that very moment, jihadist militants would launch coordinated attacks in multiple provinces, drawing government forces away from the capital. According to Sana, the main people behind the coup hadn't even stayed inside Burkina Faso's borders. They were operating from exile in Côte d'Ivoire. He named two of the most notorious figures by rank and alias, Commander Joanny Compaoré and Lieutenant Abdramane Abdou Barry, both described as army deserters who had fled to Abidjan and become the plot's chief propagandists. Investigators attributed the government's early warning to intercepted messages exchanged between a Burkinabe officer and terrorist commanders. Those communications, once decrypted, detailed patrol schedules and target coordinates, allowing security services to stop both the palace attack and the insurgents' distraction attacks. Sana emphasized the dramatic scope of the conspiracy, the willingness of its architects to let Burkina Faso burn if that chaos enabled their power grab. But the plotters' ambitions went beyond a simple coup. Sana explained that they had tried to win over religious and traditional leaders, asking them to use their influence to convince soldiers and civilians to join them. Signed documents found in the conspirators' safe house revealed a shocking plan to set up a new government that would ask for help from foreign powers, basically putting parts of Burkina Faso under outside control. In Sana's words, this would have meant giving away parts of the country's independence in exchange for protection from outsiders, something he called the ultimate betrayal of the nation. Over the week following April 16th, security forces rounded up dozens of implicated officers across the country, some apprehended at military posts, others intercepted at border crossings. Courts-martial loomed for those detained, though Sana withheld details on any civilian collaborators. The trouble shook trust inside the army. Fired commanders and their suspected allies were looked at with suspicion, and President Ibrahim Traoré quickly changed key leadership positions to close any security gaps. On the diplomatic front, Sana's naming of Côte d'Ivoire as the plot's hiding place sparked a serious argument between Ouagadougou and Abidjan. Accusations that Ivory Coast sheltered the coup's leaders reopened old wounds from a similar dispute in September 2024 and threatened to cause a full-blown diplomatic crisis. Abidjan denied any involvement, but regional analysts warned that this tense situation could break apart West African cooperation at a time when unity was badly needed against jihadist threats. Indeed, jihadist fighters were still a constant threat. By 2025, around 40% of Burkina Faso was under some level of militant control. As the army worked to crush what was left of the coup, extremist groups looked for weak spots, launching surprise attacks in the north that tested Burkina Faso's worn-down forces. Sana described the coup's failure as a double win. It not only stopped a violent takeover, but also helped protect the fragile fight against terrorism. In his final words, he stressed that by stopping the plot, the government had avoided both a foreign-backed regime change and a possible collapse in the battle against jihadists. In the end, the attempted coup clearly showed the connected dangers facing Burkina Faso, from anger and betrayal inside the country to outside groups helping plots and the non-stop attacks from insurgents. The quick and public way the plot was stopped showed the government's determination, but it also revealed serious weaknesses inside the army, with neighboring countries, and in the unstable areas where jihadists hide. As the dust settled, Burkina Faso's leaders faced the tough job of rebuilding trust at home and bringing people together against threats both known and hidden.
And you hear, this just happened last month, you know. Last month this happened. Traore is in some serious problems, you know. Because we know what these guys do and intend to do when a man rise up and defy them power. Remember Gaddafi, Sankore, Lumumba. I mean, so much rise up. This youth, they might do some things when no other ones have ever done. Yes. When them decide say I'm going to use the gold and pay off the country debt, it was a shock to the outside world, especially France. Especially France. And now we see my bill, he might pave a whole heap of road we never paved yet. Bill, beautiful airport. And him not take no pay. Him not have no limousine. Him not have no private jet. Him not take no pay. And him a drive on the back of the van them with the soldier them said we serious you. And now we say him actions are spread. Yeah man, somebody just want to light the fire and then now you see everything catch, all of the wood them catch, you know, and then it spark all over the place. And that is what happening in Africa right now.
Why some people say
yes, that is what is happening in Africa. A whole heap of people still at youth.
We'll get
and say, but wait, this will look for a long time, man. And this are the spark Where did I wait pan?
On a miserable 13
So we hope it continue. We hope it continue because I have old man. That you is about 30 years old. We have old man who are come from them country. We are 60 years old.
But don't stay too long
And them just get connected now because of the inspiration of this youth. Yeah, them start to look on things different. So we will see how far it will go, but we have to make the world know say we're not about we know. I can't talk about Jamaica, I have to talk about Rasta. Rasta support the youth there. Yeah, Rastafari, Bridging and System support the youth there. And hope them continue the way I do. And Baba weave round the French and the American colonialists and neo-colonialists them who try rape Africa continuously. Rape Africa continuously. Suck the blood of the African nation and then claim say we is barbarians and savage. When really and truly is them, is it? Because we not take out no people out of them country and carry them, we're going to enslave them. Africans don't take people out of don't go in another man's country and take it out and come enslave them. You know, see it? So, yeah, man. Traore is a man where we have to look upon and watch. Yeah, we have to look upon him and watch him do. See him move with look like him want to join the what them call it, the Russian, Chinese, India, South Africa, Brazil, the group there will rise up, you know. Look like him try to look a foot into that organization. Yes, him look a foot into it. So I can see where I got with that. BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. That organization is the alternative to what them call the United Nations. You ever hear about Thomas Sankara? If you know about them man there, you know, you see him, this brother Traore is influenced by Thomas Sankara, who was part of Burkina Faso, who them also kill him. Yeah. He was once the president of Burkina. And them kill him. Assassination. This virgin take after him. He might try fulfill what Thomas start. That time them call the country Upper Volta. During Thomas Sankara time, them call it Upper Volta. Well, them give back the Burkina Faso name. I know we have this virgin here.
Faso court has charged former exiled President Blaise Compaoré in absentia in connection to the murder of President Thomas Sankara in 1987 in a coup led by Compaoré. The case was sent to the military tribunal in the capital, Ouagadougou, after the charges against Compaoré and the other main alleged perpetrators were confirmed 34 years after the death of Sankara, popularly referred as Africa's Che Guevara.
Former Burkina Faso President Blaise Compaoré and 13 others are being charged with harming state security, complicity in murder and complicity in the concealment of corpses. This comes as Blaise, who is in exile, has also been linked to the murder of Thomas Sankara. Sankara, a Marxist revolutionary, popularly referred to as Africa's Che Guevara, was assassinated during a coup in 1987. Among the accused is General Gilbert Diendéré, Compaoré's former right-hand man and a former head of the elite unit, the presidential security regime at the time of the coup. Diendéré is currently serving a 20-year sentence in Burkina Faso for masterminding a coup in 2015 against the West African country's transitional government. The arrest warrant was issued against Compaoré in March 2016. He ruled Burkina Faso for 27 years before being ousted in a 2014 uprising and fleeing to Ivory Coast, where he is believed to have taken up citizenship.
Yes, we take a break and come forward. Break time. Yes, this is the cutting edge. You know, if I interview ya, I don't know if we should have waited till the other had them done, because 5 minute time and the next ad them are going to start. But I could say we got good night, Sharon, good night.
Good night, Muta. I'm not hearing you so well.
You not hear me? I wonder why.
I'm not sure. It sounds muted. Can you hear Dr. George? He's on the other line.
Him not say nothing.
Here, my brother.
Yeah, me hear him, man.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
All right. You hear me think we should, I don't know.
Yes.
I want you to leave your phone number and I could call you back, because 5 minutes time the next ad them will come up and you have to go wait till 5 minutes before the next 10 minutes. So leave the phone number there. Leave the phone number. I will tell the operator to call you back. So
yes.
Okay.
DJ Kamara, the phone operator, let them go and leave the phone number and you call them back. All right?
Thank you so much.
No problem. Yeah, because it's
Thank
short,
you.
the time's short. All right.
Yes, they have the numbers. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
One
okay.
left.
They have my number?
We're going to go back to the guests, them. Sharon?
Yes, I'm here, Muta. Good evening to you and your guests,
All right,
your
good thanks.
listeners.
What is the name of the virgin panel the line?
Dr.
Yes,
George
I'm
Xavier
found
Love.
in the line.
Oh?
Dr. George
This is Dr. Love. We did an interview 30 years ago, back in 1990.
You see, Ross? 30 years ago.
30
Still
years
going
ago,
strong.
yeah.
So this is the first time you come back to Jamaica?
No, I've been, yeah, I was here last year.
Oh, it was your
The,
last year?
Mushroom Conference.
Okay. All right, so what is
Can I-
taking
can
what
I-
is taking place? Sharon, what is taking place now? Tell me.
Oh, it's exciting. He's doing a comedic Qigong Science of Rejuvenation program for a set number of people. They're in Runaway Bay. Started May 3rd until the 9th. And then on May 10th, he does a review of those entire 7 days, a review for persons who are interested in learning about the science of rejuvenation, comedic, yoga, and other things that he will tell you about. On the 10th, it will be at Hotel 39, Jimmy Cliff Boulevard. Used to be Gloucester Boulevard.
Yeah,
And that
I know
hotel, yes, we will gather there and we'll have an all-day seminar, which will be a review of the science of rejuvenation. There's some key points that Dr. Love would like to share with the audience.
All right, so I can ask him, what is the science of rejuvenation? What it entail?
Well, when you go to sleep at night, does your heart rate slow down? Does your breathing relax? Do your muscles relax? Do your bones elongate? And the answer is they are supposed to. But there has to be a preparation for the sleep time. So in our culture, we go, and then fall out. We don't prepare for sleep. We don't soak our feet. We don't massage our legs. We don't cut off the electricity. In fact, this time of night, there should not be any electricity. We shouldn't be even awake at this time. We should all be in bed before 11. So that is step one in the science of rejuvenation. But there's 8 main points, and this 6-day retreat that we're doing is rather intensive, and the people are so excited about what they're doing. They're skipping meals. They want to continue working through lunch. So
what is causing that? What you do to cause that?
Well, the science of rejuvenation. So, first of all, what is the average lifespan of a Jamaican man or a Jamaican woman in 2025? What's the normal lifespan in Jamaica?
I don't know. Well, 70 odd, 80 odd. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, let's say
maybe Sharon can tell you. What's the lifespan of a Jamaican?
Let's say 75.
All right, 75.
Because if you go over 80,
no, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's 66.
Oh wow!
Most people I know live past 70 though. Most people I know past 70.
Well, Muta, you are a very unusual young man.
No, not me. The people I know, not me. Not me.
You know, the people that do the vitality and the liberty. That's why they live past 80.
Oh, yeah?
But most Jamaicans, they're drinking box juice and fried chicken and chicken and rice.
Yeah.
They're not eating properly. They're not exercising at all. They live on their phones. They're addicted to electronics and social media. So they have no time to connect to nature. On this retreat, we've had Peta Linton and her wonderful husband, Chef Aldain, prepare for us raw fruits. And I lived in Jamaica, and these fruits I have never seen, I've never heard, because they don't get exported. They're only available in Jamaica. And they're served raw. So I never knew that eating a fruitarian diet, that you could actually sustain yourself on a fruitarian diet, because the only fruit I know are the fruits that are available in the U.S. And now I realize the entire food system of the U.S. is crap. And that the only way to sustain yourself in a healthy way is to eat and live liberty and vitality with Jamaican fruits.
So what happened to the people them who
part
live?
Of the training.
So what happened to the people them who live where not Jamaica? The rejuvenation don't work with them because they're not eating the fruits, or how that go?
Okay, so rejuvenation takes place between 9 at night and 6 a.m.
Okay.
Okay, so there are 4 cardinal points of the day.
I remember, you know. I don't want to talk, I remember, you know. Sorry to broke you, but I just remember, you know. Yeah.
So 6 a.m. is sunrise. If you do not greet the sun, where the sun penetrates your 2 eyes to activate your pineal, your body will not make serotonin and melatonin in a healthy way. At 12 noon, you should not be eating lunch at 12 noon. You should only eat after 1 p.m. So between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., you should be reading, resting, relaxing, walking, or doing some type of meditation. At 6 p.m., you should be doing another sitting meditation and drinking sorrel tea. Not the cold sorrel tea, but hot sorrel tea. And then at 9, you should be soaking your feet in herbs and massaging your legs based upon acupressure. And there's points on the kidney, the liver, and the spleen, acupressure, meridians that will heal your digestion, heal your kidneys, and detoxify your liver. And all this takes place between 9 and 10 at night. And then we do affirmations. and chanting. And we don't have enough time on the radio to go into what all the affirmations are. But all of us are not happy with our lives. All of us are striving for more money, more bigger car, better house, better job, more vacations. So we're always striving. But we can create a success playbook with a journaling success playbook with the affirmations. And this is the thing that people are most excited about, is how to rewrite their life. So your operating system is based upon your childhood programming, your attitude, your perspective, and your perception. And I write that in a formula called your chip plus your app equals your OS. So some of us want to blame somebody or something or circumstances for their failure instead of taking responsibility for everything that happens in their life. And if you're not willing to be at cause for whatever happens to you, good or bad, you are never going to be able to see the true vision and destiny that was prepared before you. And all of these teachings are based upon ancient Egyptian spiritual principles. They're all written on the walls of the temple and in the pyramids.
All right, so I can ask you, for the person them in Jamaica who has never left Jamaica and they don't have nobody to teach them what you're saying, how do they get through them life and still live 80-year-old? Them never go outside of Jamaica yet. They don't have these Kemetic principles, but yet still them live till 80. What you give credence to? What is the reason for that to happen without knowing all what you're saying?
Who suffers and who thrives? If you're thriving, never leaving Jamaica, then you do not need anything that I am teaching. But if you are suffering inside Jamaica, then you absolutely need the information that I'm providing. If you have access to the internet, then you have access to an international library of information. The problem is which information is applicable to you, for you. So you need a guide or a teacher to sift through the dregs of misinformation and misdirection that already exists. Jamaica is still colonial property of UK. And you are still subject to the laws of the Commonwealth. You are not independent. And by learning these spiritual principles, you will be free. My ultimate aim is liberation of all my people who are suffering.
And so is mine. Dr. Love, I'd like you also to talk about the one-day event, and then I'd like to talk about the Queenology meets Rootsology, Muta, which is coming up on Mother's Day, the 11th. And Dr. Love will be our keynote speaker. There's so much here that we need people to come and speak to Dr. Love, to meet him and get access to this information. And that would be Saturday, the 10th of May at the Hotel 39 in Montego Bay on Jimmy Cliff Boulevard, formerly Gloucester Boulevard. Gloucester Boulevard. So, Muta?
Yeah, I'm hearing that. I thought you were going to say something about what you just said.
Yes, I would like to say something about the Queenology, but I'd allow I'd like Dr. Love to say something about the one-day event and invite Jamaicans to come and listen to him, come and meet him.
Okay.
Fortunately, our event was sold out. And the fact that it's sold out with very little fanfare means that there are many people who are interested in learning this information.
Okay.
Number two, Jamaica is unique in the world in that it has this liberty and the vitality and the connection to the earth. And that is the reason why we chose to do it here rather than the U.S. or the U.K. Number three, people sort of know certain things, but they don't apply the information properly to their own life. So people need some encouragement. And to that end, I created these dance exercises. And that's another reason why people get excited. They learn how to move. Now, a lot of people have heard of Tai Chi, and a lot of people have heard of African dance, but they don't know anything about it. They don't know anybody who teaches Tai Chi or African dance. And what I've done is I've combined Tai Chi with African dance.
You're one of the few who do that.
Yes, I am the only one. I am the only one. I get invitations from China to come there and teach. China originated Tai Chi, but they want me to come and teach them how to turn their Tai Chi into a dance.
Okay.
Awesome.
So that's the unique thing that I bring into the world.
And we'll get a sample of that on the 10th, Saturday, the 10th of May.
Of course. That's
Very
the whole
good.
point of having a one-day event.
Okay, Jamaicans, we want you to come out.
So, what how you do it now? What's the cost? What's the time? How it work?
Well, because you are Mutabaruka, we have put together a special program 2 for 1. So anybody who's listening to your program can take this information 2 for 1. Now, the people who are here, they told me that whatever I charged for this weekend, this 6-day retreat, that I could have easily charged double because the information presented was information they had never heard in their entire life.
So you're going to charge double now, or are you going to keep it at the same price?
Well, that's why I said 2 for 1. I'm going to charge half price only to people who listen to your show.
Okay.
So if you give out Sharon's phone number and they call her within the next 8 hours, next 12 hours. If they call her in the next 12 hours, they can receive 2 for 1.
May I give the number now? 876?
No, say it slower. No, say it slower. Say it slower.
Okay. 876-275-3169. 876-275.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you still never tell me the price.
275-3169. Now the price.
What's the price?
7,500 Jamaican dollars.
7,500 Jamaican dollar. Okay.
Yes, for 8 until 6 p.m. with a morning session at the beach, Doctor's Cave.
Okay.
Yes, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Musa, we wish you to be there if possible. Come and get your healing with some Dr. Love. He's an acupuncturist and a physician of Oriental medicine, certified in Florida. I'd like to ask Muta if I could say a word before we go on the brutality the Queenology Meets Rootology Lifetime Achievement Award.
Okay, we're at the 12 o'clock tonight, but say it quick. Okay,
this event, it's our second event, will be held May 11, 2025. It's historic, and we'll bring women together who are sheroes, unsung, and we will do a citation and give them an award for the work that they've done. Honorees include Kabu Mahat, a journalist, Gama Gloria Sims, Paramount Queen of the Maroons, Paula Surtees, CEO Island Coffee, Mama Lily, Naibingi Wisdom Keeper, Fanaye Selassie, Juliet Dunbar, Dr. Diane Robertson for groundbreaking work in natural medicine, Joy Logan in entertainment, Vanessa Chaibar, and Dr. Jessica Mbangini in memoriam.
All right, so where's that going to be?
It's going to be at the Temple of Inner Peace from 11 a.m. on
No, you have to tell the people them where that is. You know, I know where it is, but them don't know.
Yeah,
you have to tell them where it is.
Mount Airy, and it's Negril, and you get there through Numpro Road.
Yeah.
Yes, and Whitehall Road in Negril. Best if they call 876-275-3169 for directions, or use the GPS. Mount Airy, West Cliff Estate. It's the most western point on the island.
I'm going to take a break. I can come forward. I'm going to come forward. I'll take a break. Yes, African sound. Listen to this.
The Haitian revolts were set in motion by Jamaicans. Troublemakers, that they wanted to get rid of, so they sold them to plantations in Haiti. The Jamaican farmers sold them to plantations in Haiti, and the most noted being Boakman, who decided he's going to be a priest. Then he's a priest, and he wasn't going to work on the farm. So as a priest, he began to organize the Yoruba slaves in the solidification of the Haitian Revolution, to the point, and he moved it so fast, Toussaint Louverture had to run to catch up with the revolution in order to lead it.
Yeah, man. Serious thing. Go and play it again, you know.
The Haitian revolts were set in motion by Jamaicans. Troublemakers, that they wanted to get rid of, so they sold them to plantations in Haiti. The Jamaican farmers sold them to plantations in Haiti, and the most noted being Boakman, who decided he's going to be a priest. Then he's a priest, and he wasn't going to work on the farm. So as a priest, he began to organize the Yoruba slaves in the solidification of the Haitian Revolution, to the point, and he moved it so fast, Toussaint Louverture had to run to catch up with the revolution in order to lead it.
Okay. Tell anybody say hear that on the cutting edge, if them question you. And that is a scholar, no mean scholar. That's John Henry Clark.
For years, the West has spread myths about Africa. Let's debunk 10 of the biggest lies. Lie number 1, Africa is a country. Africa is a continent with 54 countries, each with unique cultures, languages, and histories. Lie number 2, Africa is poor. Africa is rich in resources, from gold and oil to tech startups and a booming economy. Countries like Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya have multi-billion-dollar industries. Lie number 3, Africans live in huts. Yes, traditional homes exist, but Africa has modern cities like Nairobi, Lagos, and Johannesburg with skyscrapers, highways, and high-tech hubs. Lie number 4, Africa is unsafe. While some regions face conflicts, Africa is home to some of the world's safest places, including Botswana, Rwanda, and Mauritius. Lie number 5, Africa contributes nothing to science. Africans invented mathematics, astronomy, and medicine long before colonization. Today, African scientists and engineers are making global breakthroughs. Lie number 6, Africa needs saving. The idea that Africa needs saving ignores the fact that Africans are building their own futures, leading in business, tech, and governance. Lie number 7. Africans don't speak English or French. Many Africans are multilingual, speaking local languages and global ones like English, French, Portuguese, and Arabic. Lie number 8. Africa has no history. From the great Zimbabwe ruins to the Mali Empire, Africa's history is rich and deep, dating back thousands of years. Before I reveal the last 2 big lies about Africa, I'm kindly asking you to like this video to help Africa Rise reach more people. Lie number 9, Africa is always at war. While conflicts exist, most African countries are peaceful and stable with growing economies and democratic governments. Lie number 10, Africans are not educated. Africa has top universities and Africans excel in global institutions leading in medicine, engineering, and politics worldwide. Let's spread the truth about Africa. Stay inspired, stay Africaized.
This is the cutting edge. You know, the 25th of May is Africa Day. And you know, Bingi, the main Bingi is in Malvern. Wild up earthquake, you know. Earthquake Bingi in Malvern. You know which part of Malvern there? Malvern there, St. Elizabeth. You drive straight till you reach when you reach Santa Cruz, you turn left and go up the hill there. So one them know, say the Malvern Bingi is on, and make sure, say, if you can make it, you make it. You understand? And as we say again, we want to yell up earthquake. Okay, which part were they now?
Arabs didn't come to Egypt until 640. The first non-African people came to Egypt, otherwise called the Hyksos, in 1675 BC. The Africans there were already in the 13th dynasty period. They had built every pyramid you saw there before. They had done the S-turn in the Nile. They built every one of the major temples that had already been built, including the Grand Lodge of Luxor. The first European to come there did not arrive until the Greeks arrived with Alexander II, the son of Philip of Macedonia.
Look, I'm a college graduate. I never heard all this stuff before.
Because they didn't intend to teach you that. They can't tell you that you're inferior and teach you that you taught Egypt, Europe. The first Europeans to be civilized by the Africans were the Greeks. When you heard of Homer, the first European to have written anything, you couldn't miss that. They said that Homer wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. And that was not until 833 BC. The Africans had already in 255,000 at the Tassili Mountain. They had the Sibyllian period, first, second, and third, the pre-dynastic period, all the way up. The Africans had produced men like this, Imhotep, the multi-genius that designed the step pyramid of Saqqara. The first man to be a physician that even Hippocrates, the so-called father of medicine, is giving him credit and call him the god of medicine. The Greeks changed his name from Imhotep to Aesculapius. There he is.
Listen and listen well to what I have to tell.
The Church of England once owned a sugar plantation on Barbados that profited it about £5 million a year in today's money. They purchased slaves from West Africa and subjected them to inhuman treatment, including having the word society branded on their chests with a hot iron to show that they were the property of the church. Previous Archbishop of Canterbury actually chaired the meetings approving the purchase of more slaves for the plantation. They were needed because so many had died as a result of their inhuman treatment. The church also enslaved children as workers too. The wealth the church enjoys today and its ownership of vast parts of the land and real estate of England and its prestige is because of this shameful blood money from the past. The Catholic Church and many of the popes were no better, abusing the innocent and forcing them into slavery. People often trust religion, religious people, and the church. They shouldn't. It has little, if anything, to do with God or Jesus. It is a human system spawned, controlled, and dominated by men. It is responsible for atrocities throughout history, even up to our present day.
Serious thing. Why play it again that you can suck it in. Information station, that we call it, that you can
The Church of England once owned a sugar plantation on Barbados that profited it about £5 million a year in today's money. They purchased slaves from West Africa and subjected them to inhuman treatment, including having the word society branded on their chests with a hot iron to show that they were the property of the church. Previous Archbishop of Canterbury actually chaired the meetings approving the purchase of more slaves for the plantation. They were needed because so many had died as a result of their inhuman treatment. The church also enslaved children as workers too. The wealth the church enjoys today and its ownership of vast parts of the land and real estate of England and its prestige is because of this shameful blood money from the past. The Catholic Church and many of the popes were no better, abusing the innocent and forcing them into slavery. People often trust religion, religious people, and the church. They shouldn't. It has little, if anything, to do with God or Jesus. It is a human system spawned, controlled, and dominated by men. It is responsible for atrocities throughout history, even up to our present day.
Yes, what are the ambiguous? Certain things you never know, but all you can know if you never know. Yes, paradox in paradox. All right, so we want to play the script here, you know. We want to play the script here. It will go over 1 o'clock, but we still have to play it.
My name is Arikana Chiumbori. I was born in Zimbabwe, some little village called Kivu. Came to this country to go to college on the first degree in general chemistry and a master's in organic chemistry, went on to medical school. Then did a residency in general surgery and family medicine, practiced medicine for 25 years until one night. Around 3 a.m., a phone call comes in and says, Doc, the African Union ambassador to the United States has resigned. She was going to be running for president of her country, and that we would want you to be the next African Union ambassador to the United States. Now, keep in mind, I am a scientist through and through. So who in their right mind would want me to become an ambassador in Washington? I thought that was a joke and it was laughable. Well, I fought it for about 6 months, but because being an African, after a while, I had to listen to my elders. So I figured, okay, if you think you're putting a joke on me, the joke is on you, because I'm going to only go to Washington for 6 months and then I'll come back. And I'll tell my elders that I tried, but I couldn't do it. But something happened during the first 4 to 5 months. And mind you, I'm staying in a hotel because I knew I wasn't going to get into a contract, renting or buying, that I wasn't going to last. But what was very disturbing was the disrespect that was so blatant. I would be sitting in meetings initially because, you know, as a doctor, you're always a doctor no matter where you are. And I thought it was really quite humorous sitting with all these big diplomats, and here I am, a medical doctor, and I'm supposed to be useful. I'm busy diagnosing them, you know, you got a thyroid condition, you are bipolar, and I got a pill for you. I'm not really paying attention to the deliberations because I don't think politicians accomplish much anyway. So it was more important to diagnose them, their medical conditions. But every now and then somebody will say something and I'm like, wait just a minute, did they just say that? You know? And one particular event, there was a whole team of African ministers and one particular leader of a particular department in Washington started raising their voice and screaming and yelling at them. You Africans, you will never speak with one voice. This document over here is going to be a piece of paper 20 years from now. I said, okay. So we got all the ministers here. Somebody say something. It wasn't my show. I was like third You know how you sit, you got your team leader, and then according to rank, I was number 3. So clearly I wasn't supposed to speak. I waited for those who were supposed to speak. They did not. More and more of those situations became apparent to me. And I remember 5 months into my stay in Washington, I called home and I said, well, you know what, guys, I'm going to hang around a little bit longer. There were a few, you know what, that needed a good kicking. And that I was going to hang around until they ran me out of Dodge, and that's exactly what happened. The disrespect is not just for the Africans on the continent. The disrespect is for black people around the world. The abuse is not just for Africans on the continent. The abuse is for black people wherever you find us. I'm going to share with you some basic facts. You see, our story is a simple one. Our story is of truth and facts, which are two constants that do not change. And all we need to do is give the world an overdose of our truth and insist on it. As we speak today, I'm going to take you back centuries, long before the children of Africa were taken out of Africa as slaves. There was some serious resistance when the occupiers from the West came to Africa, contrary to what some might think. They didn't just give up their children, but the fighting began long before slavery. And the resistance was those who led them, the majority of them, their heads, as we speak today, are sitting in jars in Europe. Are you aware of that? Our leaders, our ancestors who fought the wars of resistance, their heads, their remains are sitting in jars throughout Europe. And the same people have the audacity to come to Africa and talk to us about human rights. But what's even more disturbing is that we entertain them and we don't remind them of the skeletons in their closet. As we speak today, the priceless artifacts that they stole from all over Africa are sitting in their museums throughout Europe. And when you and I, when we visit Europe, we pay to see what belongs to us. Evidence of theft, evidence of murder on display in plain sight. As we speak today, black people are listed as 3/5 of a human being in the US Constitution. As we speak today, the redlining continues. As we speak today, African countries are being made to pay ridiculous interest rates on loans that they should not be paying for. As we speak today, reparations are due. Everybody else has been given reparations, expect us. The question then becomes, what is wrong with this picture? Why aren't you and I standing up and demanding that what is right must be done? I can tell you why. Because no other race would stand for a minute what is being done to us. How long do you think a finger of a British soldier last in Zimbabwe? How long do you think a thumb of a German soldier lasts in Namibia? Not even a minute. They would storm in, kill hundreds, if not thousands of people just to recover that one finger. Why is it that we are unable to come together and speak our truth and demand that what needs to be done must be done? It's because they defeated us where it matters the most, which is the mind. It started with the missionaries in Africa long before slavery. They were sent by the Roman Catholic Church to subdue the Africans, make them believe that when you get slapped, turn the other cheek, and that your riches are in heaven. So by the time they followed with the colonizers to reap and rape Africa, we were already brainwashed. We were meant to believe everything African was bad and undesirable, and everything European was better. And the same brainwashing continued as our children were taken out of Africa enslaved. It continued on the plantations, color gradations, light-skinned versus dark-skinned, field workers versus kitchen workers. To this day, we suffer from the legacy of slavery and the legacy of colonization. For how long are we going to continue to suffer from this affliction? For it is singularly the reason why we are not able to come together just like other races and nationalities have done in this melting pot that is the United States of America. When you ask for the voices of the Irish Americans loud and clear, Jewish Americans loud and clear, German Americans, Italian Americans, Chinese Americans, Indian Americans, their voices are loud and clear. But when you ask for the voices of us black people, you might as well go to the graveyard because we are missing in action. We were taught, we were brainwashed into not even loving ourselves as individuals, let alone each other. We were taught not to trust one another. We were taught not to believe that my brother can, my sister can, but somebody else who doesn't look like you and I is better. The question I have for all of you, just close your eyes and think about your children, your grandchildren. Is this the world you want to leave behind for them? If the answer is no, then you need to have a serious conversation with the image in the mirror. Because it is the image in the mirror that must change. It is the image in the mirror that must understand that you are sick from this affliction of the legacy of slavery. You are not sick at home. You are not sick in the doctor's waiting room. You are not sick in the hospital ward. You are sick in the intensive care. How long are we going to continue to support other people's agendas? Those who stood up to fight during the civil rights movement, during the Pan-African days in Africa, civil rights in the United States, they were all silenced. We are emerging out of a period of 20 to 30 years where just nothing is going on. We are all fast asleep. When are we going to wake up? Reverend Al Sharpton is saying, the time to wake up is now. Reparations now. We know all the companies that benefited from slavery. We have their name. We have the list. they must pay. As we speak, many have pledged their contributions. Guess what's going to happen, my brothers and sisters? Because we're not organized, we will never realize those funds. And they will hide behind, oh, they're disorganized. They don't know what they're doing. I am now going to be asking Reverend Al Sharpton to lead us as we demand those reparations. We need to register a global Pan-African fund that can make sure that we have development in black communities where it belongs. Those funds must be organized. Those funds must be paid for. Reparations for black people now. No more shall we continue to be abused. No more shall they continue to exploit our Africa. What is in Africa is our birthright, and we are going home to take it. No more shall we be told Africa is a diseased and dying continent because they are going to Africa in droves and telling you to not go there. So this moment is calling for unity of purpose. And before I leave this platform, I'm going to ask all of you to take a moment. If you love your children, if you love your grandchildren and their future, to have a serious conversation with them.
It's something that will have an impression upon your mind when you wake up tomorrow morning. All those clips we will play is supposed to inspire you, to make you really think and really figure out the history. You know, we don't just play these things because just play it. We play it to make it have an impression by your consciousness and your conscience. Because, trust me, the information them out there, it's hard to unravel them if it's a one where just a look to have fun and not have education in your consciousness. And when we say education, I don't mean reading, writing, and arithmetic. We are talking about critically think about where you hear and how you feel about where you hear and what you're going to do about what you hear. Very important part like that. So as we are saying, give thanks to the moment, give thanks to the time and energy. We are going with one made popular or written by the man called Jimmy Cliff. Done over in a different style. Here we go.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the next Jamaica Labour Party administration will focus on addressing social violence. He made the statement at the East Central St. James Scholarship Awards function in Montego Bay yesterday. Noting that the murder rate has declined by more than 30%, Dr. Holness maintained that Jamaicans will one day be able to sleep with their windows and doors open.
There are those who cast their eyes to the bottom of the glass and say Jamaicans will never sleep with their windows and doors open. But there are those who believe in the potential of this country, who knows that the core of every Jamaican is a strong desire for peace, who are not ashamed to utter publicly that very bold assertion that Jamaica can be the country where we sleep with our windows and doors open. And by God, we are going to do it.
Warning that all criminals will be brought to justice, the Prime Minister said Jamaica will return to the core value of peace.
This issue of social violence has to be addressed. And so in our next administration, that is going to be a huge part of our social thrust, how we remove violence as a tool to resolve conflict in our society. We want Jamaica to be the place really that say when you come here, man, Jamaica, no problem, man. Everything chill, everything airy, everything easy. We are at peace because that is the brand that everybody knows of Jamaica. That's what Bob Marley sings about. But for the past 4 or 5 decades, we have strayed from that. And we're going to return to the core value of peace. in Jamaica.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Opposition spokesperson on technology and innovation, Dr. Andre Horton, is calling for a radical shift in Montego-based development and has urged residents to move beyond tourism and outsourcing. Speaking at the People's National Party's Region 6 gathering in St. James recently, he said residents should embrace technology and innovation as the foundation of the city's future.
We must not just see ourselves as a second city, trying to be secondary to what is happening elsewhere. We must see ourselves as a modern developing city, rooted in the development of our people, rooted in the empowerment of our people, rooted in creating wealth for such remarkable people who make this city what it is. Montego Bay as itself must recognize that in order for us to create wealth, in order for us to maintain our status as a modern metropole, we must empower our people with the necessary knowledge and expertise that they need to participate in where the world is going.
Opposition spokesperson on technology and innovation, Dr. Andre Horton. Scores of people gathered at the Falmouth Seventh-day Adventist Church in Trelawney today to pay tribute to the father of sprint legend Usain Bolt, Wellesley Bolt. Wellesley, otherwise called Gideon, died in March following a period of illness. He was 68. Among those who attended the funeral were Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, Sports Minister Olivia Grange, and opposition members Wickham McNeil and Natalie Nita Garvey. Speaking at the service, Usain remembered his father as a great and kind man.
All he did was give, no matter what or who. Anybody from Sherwood Content can tell you that they could always go to you. And I remember throughout the years, my mom and dad would always say to me, "You're saying you can't give away all your money." And I was like, what you want me to do? That's what you taught me to do. To always to give and to support and to help. So it was a good thing. Throughout my life, I've worked hard and I've dedicated my life to sports and track and field to be the best that I possibly can. And that's one of my biggest lessons that I learned from my dad, to work hard and to be dedicated. And he that just only told me. I watched him work hard and provide for my family.
Usain Bolt. And Dr. Holness, in describing Usain as a national hero, extended love and praise to the Olympian and his family on behalf of all Jamaicans.
Usain is a global icon, a national hero, a national asset, and every Jamaican is grieving with Usain and his family at this time. So I thought that as Prime Minister, I have the duty and indeed the responsibility to speak on behalf of the country. I see both members of the opposition and members of the government gathered. So I take the privilege to speak on behalf of the political class, to say, Usain, we love you, we care about you, and in this time of grief, please know that we are all here praying for you and the comfort of your family.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. The Kingston and St. Ange Municipal Corporation, KCMC, is urging residents to desist from placing building materials along roadways. Speaking at a major cleanup operation in Gordon Town and Irish Town on Friday, KCMC City Inspector Alric Francis said materials such as gravel placed along roadways pose safety issues for motorists and pedestrians. He said following the exercise, it is now easier for persons to navigate the roadways.
Those persons who traverse this area will see a welcoming change, just coming up based on all that was on the roadway, the sidewalk, and what exists now. I understand the challenges that the residents who are building face as it relates to space, but at the same time, we can't overlook the level of impediment and encroachment that these things are causing on the road. We have a responsibility and we have to, one, maintain public order and public safety.
Persons who leave or dump construction material along roadways are liable to face criminal sanctions under the Towns and Communities Act as well as the Main Roads Act. Mr. Francis explained that residents who are constructing and have nowhere to store building material may contact the KSAMC for permission to use the sidewalks.
Any residents in Kingston and St. Andrew who wishes to put these aggregates on the sidewalk or roadway must first come to the Kingston St. Andrew Municipal Corporation and get permission, apply for what is called encroachment before you go ahead. Because if this practice continue, then it leaves us no choice but to go into these areas, serve the notices, and take the necessary action. But we have to ensure that we are maintaining public order.
KSAMC City Inspector Alric Francis. The Mayday High School in Manchester is being lauded for its advanced use of technology. The commendation came from Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon while on a visit to the institution on Thursday. Principal Stanford Davis highlighted the school's comprehensive digital management system. He noted that the system facilitates student attendance and academic records as well as financial accounts. He said parents can now access student data in real time via a dedicated app. Dr. Morris-Dixon praised Mayday High for creating a good school management system.
Mayday is doing a lot of fantastic things with the technology. You see the laptops that the students have. You see the beautiful smart board that's here. But even more than that, the principal of Mayday is one of the most tech-savvy principals that we have in our education system. There are wonderful things happening in our schools across Jamaica. And this is just one example of a principal who proudly told me, my entire school is on my phone. I have all of the data on my school on my phone, and he has worked really hard. And these are the kinds of stories that we have to tell Jamaica about, because our principals, our teachers, they're doing fantastic things in many of our schools, and it needs to be told. And so I have to say thank you on behalf of all these children and all of Jamaica for all the work that you've done, and I really appreciate the fact that you have taken this kind of interest in our students.
Education Minister Senator Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon.
And now the details. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has stressed that at no time was there any attempt to harm or deceive teachers. This in response to concerns and comments about the controversial Jamaica Teaching Council JTC bill. The opposition People's National Party and the Jamaica Teachers Association have noted that while they do not, in principle, object to the JTC, there are aspects of the recently passed bill that raise concern, and despite pointing out those concerns, the government has done little to resolve them. Speaking today at a function on Teachers' Day at Michael University College, Dr. Holness noted that the legislation seeks to establish a robust institutional framework for accountability and standards within the teaching profession.
So yes, for far too long, we have not treated teaching with the professional regard it deserves. We have celebrated teachers in words, but not always supported them with the institutional structures that allow them to grow, thrive, and lead. That is why the government is pursuing the Jamaica Teaching Council legislation. And let me state this plainly, this is not an attempt to control teachers. It is a national effort to uplift, upgrade, and to use the term professionalize teaching in Jamaica.
The Prime Minister said the government has committed to further dialogue on the JTC bill.
I listened keenly to the conversation and the concerns, and in our democracy, the government must always listen. And so we listen. I don't like to use the word compromise because it just sends the signal of, watering down. But I think we can continue the dialogue and seek deeper understanding and appreciation of each other's concerns. And I think that is the direction that the government will go. And I'm not going to get too much involved. We have a Minister of Education who is very competent, and I do quite like the President of the JTA. He seems to be a reasonable person in his pronouncements. I didn't like this betrayal issue because there was at no time any attempt to in any way deceive or harm teachers. That's absolutely not the case. But I think that the dialogue will continue. So I hope those comments can help to alleviate concerns and bring some levity to the conversation.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Public school teachers who were told recently that they had to retire before reaching age 65 have the option of returning to work if they so desire. The update was given by Finance Minister Favour Williams as she responded to questions from her opposition counterpart Gillian Robinson in the lower house yesterday. The minister was in the process of having the House pass the bill to amend the Pensions Public Service Act. The amendment provides the option for public officers born between August 1961 and February 1963 to retire before reaching age 65 and to receive pension gratuity or other allowance due and payable to them. It also allows for validation and confirmation as lawful all actions taken or omissions made by any person in relation to the granting of normal retirement during the period commencing April 2018 and ending on the date of operation of the Act. Mr. Robinson pointed out that months ago, the matter of some teachers being forced to retire came to public attention, with the Jamaica Teachers Association threatening to take legal action.
The matter came up in the public domain about 2-3 months ago, where there was a directive from the Ministry of Education. It affected a number of teachers who were told it wasn't a voluntary action on their part, that they had to retire even though they had not reached the age of 65. I don't have a specific number as to how many were affected. I'm very aware that the JTA raised an alarm. In fact, I think they threatened legal action in relation to it. And so my question really is not those people who are on retirement leave, but there are some persons who, whether inadvertently, whether by bad advice, were told they had to retire. Those are really the ones I'm concerned about. And I don't know how widespread it is, if it's simply related to isolated cases at the Ministry of Education or it goes beyond. That's really my first question. And then my second, which is a separate one, relates to persons who may have opted now voluntarily prior to 65, but they are not getting the benefits, and whether this legislation now would provide them with that.
Opposition spokesman on finance, Gillian Robinson. Mrs. Williams noted that any public officer, not only a teacher who is now on retirement leave, has the option of returning to work.
This issue with regards to persons going off before 65, I believe, if my memory serves me right, only came to our attention recently. It was not something I know of that had been going on for a while. So any person who went off recently would still be on their retirement leave. And so those persons for whom their retirement has not yet taken effect because they're on retirement leave can opt to return. It's their option whether or not they return to work or not.
Finance Minister Favour Williams. A joint select committee of Parliament is to deliberate on job descriptions for cabinet ministers and members of Parliament. This development comes almost 2 years after Prime Minister Andrew Holness in June 2023 tabled job descriptions for parliamentarians in the form of a green paper and for ministers in the form of a white paper. At the time, Mr. Holness said these will set out the strategic objective of the post, the purpose, reporting and accountability, the key deliverables and responsibility areas, the performance standards, competencies and contacts, as well as the working conditions. Mr. Holness stated that also the good governance means holding. Mr. Holness stated also that good governance means holding parliamentarians and ministers to the highest standard of conduct. Speaking in the Lower House yesterday, Leader of Government Business Ed Bartlett sought and received approval for the Joint Select Committee to host hybrid meetings.
With reference to the resolution approved by this Honourable House on the 20th day of June 2023, appointing a select committee to sit jointly with a similar committee appointed by the Honourable Senate to examine and consider Ministry Paper 69/2023, dated June 20, 2023, Job Description of Ministers of Government, Paper 03/2023, dated June 20, 2023, Job Descriptions for Members of Parliament of Jamaica, and Codes of Conduct for Parliamentarians, that the committee be allowed to hold hybrid meetings that are partly virtual and partly physical, utilizing available information line below.
Leader of Government Business in the House of Representatives, Ed Bartlett, the committee will receive, consider, and respond to feedback on the issues. Another call is being made for the government to establish a livable wage benchmark to ensure a better quality of life for Jamaicans. Opposition parliamentarian Dr. Angela Brown-Burke re-emphasized the call yesterday in the Lower House. She acknowledged that though Jamaica has come a long way in relation to its decent work and pay agenda, more must be done to ensure workers are properly remunerated.
What we enjoy today, although there's much way to go, we owe because of our workers and how they've come together, whether it is for our nurses or teachers or doctors or public servants. We really owe them a debt of gratitude. Actually see how we can move to a livable wage benchmark and doing that work so that we can be assured of a fairer, more inclusive economy and society for all Jamaicans.
Opposition parliamentarian Dr. Angela Brown-Burke. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang said the country is recorded below 15 murders per week. Dr. Chang said this is significant, noting that in the past, up to 21 murders were recorded over a weekend in one constituency. Speaking at this morning's post-cabinet press briefing, Dr. Chang sought to assure citizens that the security forces are working to make the country safer. Dr. Chang said murders have been going down significantly per week since last September.
The weekly murder number the lowest weekly murder count in 24, it was 6 murders in Christmas week of 2024. It was certainly from a point of view of violence. Since September of last year, except for 1 week in November, we had a spike which the commissioner can explain, and the police keeps a pretty good track. And what impresses me as the layperson, the minister at the top, is that whenever anything goes wrong, I get a rational explanation and feeling that the police understands, they know what is happening, and they respond appropriately, so you don't get a prolonged spike.
The minister said while fewer than 15 murders per week is not desirable,
while we take the long break reduction murder rates, I think we have had around 8 weeks of homicide below 15, which is a remarkable number. Still high, still not desirable, but when it's coming from where I used to get 20 constituency, not in the island. Most weeks in the quarter with murder below 20 and 25 years, and the lowest quarterly major crime in 25 years, 898 cases. And major crime is the one that instill a level of insecurity and fear. It is the grabbing of the person, hurting somebody on the roadway, breaking the house, cars, murder, but aggravated assault, break-in and robbery, especially with aggravation across the island. All those are going down because the police is present and they respond effectively.
The minister said as at this morning, there has been a 39% reduction in murders, with 140 fewer killings in comparison to last year.
And the results are very evident. The impact of the planning, the fruits of our investment, and the power of confidence in our approach, which was critical because when we came on the batterings, we had to hold course, and sometimes not exactly easy, especially when you're still getting up to the issue of multiple homicides and drive-by shootings. For January this year, which I repeat, January 1 to May 5, 2025, we had 237 murders, which represented 148 fewer lives lost. At that time, it was 38.4%, reduction. This morning, as of this morning, the figure is actually 39%.
National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang. Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake said it's illegal for members of the force to compel citizens to provide the passwords to their cellular phones, especially during traffic stops. Dr. Blake addressed the matter this morning during a post-cabinet press briefing. He said he is aware of the complaints by members of the public and has instructed officers to desist from doing so. He maintained that a court order is needed to access the password for a citizen's phone.
Let me first say there's a process. And the process certainly is not coercing someone on that scene to give up their password. There's a process, and it is a court order has to be made. And so it is not right. It's not legal. Let me just say that clear. And we have since communicated to our members when that came to our attention that has been a practice.
Meanwhile, the commissioner said lawmen have been instructed to desist from ticketing motorists whose vehicles were manufactured with running lights.
We have also communicated regarding the ticketing of running lights. Okay, if you look at the strict literature of the law itself, it allows certain things to happen, except the fact that these are lights that came with the vehicle and not necessarily placed on the vehicle. And so there's a little gray area there. And so what we have done, we have sent out communication to our members to desist from doing that. Desist from doing that is something that we need to look at in the legislation itself. But for the time being, we have instructed our members not to continue that practice. It's unfair to the motorists.
Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake. The Office of the Political Ombudsman has extended the deadline for Mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon, to respond to queries regarding the removal of political posters in Montego Bay, St. James. The new deadline is May 14. In a statement this afternoon, the Office of the Political Ombudsman stated that Mayor Vernon's attorneys responded to requests in relation to an alleged breach of the Code of Political Conduct. The Ombudsman wrote the mayor on April 25, requesting a written explanation of actions resulting in the removal of political campaign signs in Montego Bay. Mayor Vernon was asked to respond by May 6. The Ombudsman said the mayor's legal counsel, by way of a letter dated May 5, wrote to the Ombudsman requesting an extension of the deadline to May 14, pointing out that the matter is before the court and was scheduled for hearing on May 6. The political ombudsman stated that it considered the request and permitted the deadline to be moved to May 14. Kingston Freeport Terminal Limited says it will extend its operations this week to cater to customers who might have been impacted by this morning's strike. Truckers who operate at the port withdrew their service to protest the slow pace of processing at the facility. Speaking with RFM News, KFTL's Public Relations Manager, Trudy Belnavis, said the gate remained open until 5:30 today. Gate extensions will also be implemented tomorrow from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. On Friday, the extension will be from 4 to 5 p.m. and from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Saturday. She explained that these special adjustments aim to facilitate smoother logistics operations and help stakeholders meet their service delivery commitments. Meanwhile, Ms. Belnavis noted that discussions were held today with the Port Authority of Jamaica, independent truckers, Port Trailer Haulers Association, Jamaica Customs Agency, and KFTL following this morning's disruption. She said following that meeting, the truckers agreed to resume regular operations.
We had a productive meeting. We agreed on some solutions which we will implement and observe to see how that goes. That's it for now.
KFTL's Public Relations Manager, Trudy Belnavis. A health fair hosted by the National Solid Waste Management Authority is intended to help staff members relieve stress, get tests done, and also access financial advice. The latest in this series of fairs was held on Monday at the agency's Kingston office under the theme, Wellness Starts Here, a Stronger, Healthier NSWMA Family. About 500 workers benefited from the event, along with citizens. Executive Director of the NSWMA, Audley Gordon, underscored the importance of the initiative, pointing out that staff members are more than machines picking up garbage.
This is fundamentally important because we are not just machines picking up garbage. We are humans. And as we assess the needs of the human family, we see where interventions like these are critical. People have different needs that sometimes left on their own, they won't attend to. For example, we are doing AIDS tests, we are doing blood pressure tests, we are doing heart, everything. We just bring it under one umbrella so that we can serve the family. But we are doing more. We are also talking about money management. We are even exposing them to loans. We have new cars on sale. Yes, garbage people drive cars too, and they want to reach work safely and comfortably. So everything is being incorporated in this grand affair that we're having.
Mr. Gordon said the event doubles as a stress reliever, crucial for staff who work in high-pressure environments daily.
It's also about the management of your resources. It's also about how you keep fit, because there's also a fitness section that we have around the back there too. So a little more music will be playing and people will be dancing and dance competition and all of that. Somebody asks, why do this on a Monday? Why not? There's a time when people come back off the weekend and feel a little lousy and all that. But the truth is when we can get all the services together. So we had to do this in consultation with other people, obviously, and their diaries are equally important. So what we have here is something that is great and very good for organizations such as this, where it's a high-stress environment every day. So we de-stress a little bit and do some things that help treat with the physical, natural man.
Executive Director of the NSWMA, Audley Gordon. Residents of Nannyville and Kingston celebrated a significant step in the enhancement of their recreational facilities today with the grand opening of a community futsal court. The Nannyville Futsal Court was constructed by the Ministry of Tourism through the Tourism Product Development Company Limited, TPDCO. The occasion was celebrated with a ribbon-cutting ceremony today. Speaking at the ceremony, Tourism Minister Ed Bartlett said this futsal court is not just for sports, it's a place for simple relaxation.
The young people of Nannyville, this is yours. And don't worry, elderly folks, this is also for you, because the opportunity is not just for physical dexterity and for athleticism and sports. It is also for simple relaxation, that you as adults can come and walk all around this area, and you can also sit quietly and watch the young people as they play and have recollections of your own time when you used to play.
He urged residents to utilize the space efficiently, effectively, and manage it well.
These things that we do for community enrichment is not to be taken lightly, but is to be used efficiently, effectively, and managed well. And I want to charge Minister and friends, Minister Grange, who does a lot of it, as you know, across, to insist that the management of these facilities is at a high standard, because that's the only way it can be sustainable, is if it is managed properly. And I don't want to come back to Nannyville and look at it and see something that makes me want to cry. I want to come back to Nannyville and see something that makes me want to smile and be happy, and even at my age, kick a ball.
Tourism Minister Ed Bartlett. The National Labour Day project for 2025 will focus on the establishment of the Environmental and Research Park at Mason River in Clarendon. Minister of Culture Olivia Grange made the announcement in Parliament yesterday.
Mason River is an area of environmental awareness and protection that has gained international recognition over time. In 2022, the area was designated a protected national heritage area under the Natural Resources Conservation Authority Act and a protected national heritage site under the Jamaican National Heritage Trust Act. The site gained recognition as a wetland of international significance, becoming Jamaica's fourth Ramsar site under the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands. These designations underscore the property's national significance as a heritage area rich and unique in biodiversity, as well as for the vital ecosystem services it provides.
Ms. Green said the objective of Workers' Week and Labour Day 2025 is protecting the environment.
So, Mr. Speaker, our overall objective is to promote environmental awareness, encourage community involvement, and inspire Jamaicans to act in protecting their environment. Throughout, our people will be encouraged to adopt sustainable practices in their daily lives through a conscious effort to keep their environment clean. The aim ultimately is to remind our people that protecting our natural resources and environment not only sustains Jamaica's natural beauty, but also and very significantly contributes to public health and safety.
Culture Minister Olivia Babsy-Grange. She also urged Jamaicans to embrace sustainable practices such as proper waste disposal, park beautification, and community cleanups. And with that story, we have come to the end of the look.